case. This involves a pregnant woman as the victim in Downers Grove. How this crime is being tied to a sale on Facebook Marketplace.
The former sheriff's deputy convicted in the death of Sonia Massey downstate will be sentenced today.
And we may find out today whether a big part of the federal government will shut down at the end of the week.
Let's give you a live look outside this morning. It is frosty. It is cold, but we are going to see plenty of sunshine today. We'll leave it up to Mike for the rest of the bad news.
Yes, exactly. Just take it away,
Throw
sir.
me under the bus.
Well, I don't want to tell people about it.
It's just news. It's just news, you know. We have snow on the way tomorrow and Saturday. We have more cold on the way today. But I do have one 30-degree day coming up in the
Hey,
Saturday.
All
we'll take
right.
the victories where we can get them.
All right, here's the deal. Out there right now, mixture of clouds and sun to start the day, but it's going to end up being mostly sunny but frigid. 6 degrees at 9, 14 at noon. We'll stay in the mid-teens all afternoon long. But at least it's going to be sunny. It won't be all that windy either. Current temperatures, not that far from zero anywhere in Chicagoland. It's 4 below, though, at Woodstock and Aurora. 2 above at O'Hare. 3 above at Gary. Valparaiso, 6. That's not too bad, but those wind chills will still get you. Feels like 16 below at Aurora, 13 below at Waukegan, 7 below at Valparaiso. Headed for mid-teens today. More on the lake effect snow in just a little bit. But right now, Anthony, give us a commute update. What are those travel times looking like?
They're stacking up just a little bit here. I'm not noticing any major accidents on any of the major inbound expressways other than a little bit of slow traffic on I-88 eastbound before right before you get to Broadview. And I will say that Metra, if you are a Metra commuter, you are going to want to check that Ventra app because I was counting at least 5 lines that are having signal problems, switch problems, operational issues today. So check that app for sure. Let's go through our drive times. Inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare. Coming in, you're at 41 minutes. On the Eisenhower coming in from 390, you are at 39 minutes. On the Stevenson Expressway, I-355 to Lakeshore Drive is a 36-minute ride. And inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th to downtown, you are at 26 minutes.
Family members, and this, let me just say, this is just such a horrifying story, perhaps one of the most horrifying that we've reported in a while. Family members of a pregnant mother stabbed to death in Downers Grove call this pure evil.
Yes, this morning, the Westmont teenager charged in her killing will go to court. Roseanne Tejas has more of the details on exactly what happened and kind of the Facebook Marketplace interaction that preceded this incident. Roseanne, good morning.
Good morning. Well, police say what started as a Facebook Marketplace exchange turned into a grisly killing. This victim was stabbed 70 times, but still, even with her house in flames, fought for her life, trying to crawl to safety. Now, family and friends, still in shock, gathered at a vigil last night for the 30-year-old wife and mother, Eliza Morales, killed in her Downers Grove home Monday. Prosecutors have charged 19-year-old Nettis Ravukas with the crime. They say he stabbed Morales in the head and neck and stabbed the family dog between the eyes before lighting the house on fire. Police say he confessed, saying he was angry about the condition of the truck that he bought from Morales. He told them he changed at a nearby Ace Hardware store where he dumped his bloody clothing. Morales' family says she was a great mother, excited about her growing family.
She fought for her life. She was ultimately stabbed to death. The apartment was lit on fire, and she bled out and she burned with a baby inside of her. Pure evil.
Her husband and 2-year-old child were not home at the time of this killing. As for that suspect now charged, he will appear at a detention hearing at 8:30, and that's going to be followed at 9:30 by a news conference. The DuPage County State's Attorney and also the Downers Grove Police Chief will be in attendance there, and we will have more on both of those gatherings coming up. Roseanne Tejas, Fox Chicago.
Thank you, Roseanne. Another sad story this morning. An overnight fire leaves one woman dead.
Gabriella Primus has that and some of the other stories we are following for you this morning. Gabriella.
I was going to say the same thing. Another sad story to report on, a few of them. The fire broke out that we mentioned just after 10 o'clock last night. It was along South Bell. As crews were working to put out the fire, a 75-year-old woman was found. She had suffered burns all over her body. She was taken to the University of Chicago Hospital where she died. No other injuries were reported. The Chicago Fire Department is investigating a cause. Some breaking news into our newsroom this morning. U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar is running for Minnesota governor. She made the announcement official today. Klobuchar is a Democrat, and she has held the Senate seat since 2007. She's promising to take on President Donald Trump while unifying the state. If you remember, current Governor Tim Walz recently announced he will not seek another term. Sean Grayson, the former Sangamon County deputy convicted in the shooting death of Sonia Massey, will be sentenced today. He was found guilty of second-degree murder back in October. Massey called police to report a prowler in July of 2024. Grayson shot and killed her after he says he thought she was going to throw a pot of boiling water at him. Grayson is facing anywhere from 4 to 20 years in prison. Natalie.
Gabriella, new this morning, we're seeing new video of a confrontation between slain protester Alex Preddy and ICE agents more than a week before he was shot and killed. This video shows Preddy being taken down by agents. This was after he was also seen yelling at them, chasing their vehicle, and kicking out their tail light. The Department of Homeland Security says it's reviewing the video. The Preddy family attorney says the video does not justify the shooting that occurred 11 days later. The two federal agents who shot Alex Preddy have now been placed on administrative leave. This is according to the Department of Homeland Security, which initially said those agents were still on the job and reassigned to another city. Agency has also walked back initial claims by the Trump administration that Preddy violently resisted officers and wanted to, quote, massacre law enforcement. Meantime, in our area, registered nurses came together on the near West Side to hold a vigil in honor of Preddy. It was held at the Jesse Brown VA Medical Center. Preddy was an ICU nurse at the Minneapolis VA Medical Center. The nurses also called on Congress to vote to abolish ICE.
Mayor Brandon Johnson is vowing to hold ICE agents accountable for any criminal conduct, saying there is, quote, no such thing as absolute immunity in America.
This is not about politics. This is about a more fundamental idea that in our country, nobody is above the law. There's no such thing as absolute immunity in America. If you commit a crime, you should be tried like anyone else, regardless of the badge on your chest or the mask that's on your face.
Mayor Johnson is in the nation's capital for the winter meeting of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. He says Chicago is at the forefront in the blueprint of how to push back against the Trump administration's militarized immigration raids.
A teacher in West Chicago is on administrative leave and even facing calls to lose his job after a pro-ICE post on social media. The Gary Elementary School teacher posted "Go ICE" on his Facebook last week. The school district tells us he submitted his resignation right before an investigation could happen. But he withdrew it before the board could approve it, which allowed him to come into work on Monday. He ended up being put on leave pending the outcome of the investigation.
All right, we may find out today whether a big part of the federal government is going to be shutting down on Friday night.
Brian Jackson in the studio with the latest on that. Hi, Brian.
Well, the Senate is set to hold a procedural vote a little bit later on this morning. Democrats said that they want to change the way that ICE agents are allowed to operate, that they're willing to shut down a big portion of the federal government in order to see that happen. Among the changes, prohibiting masks, requiring body cameras, and end roving patrols. Republicans may be open to negotiate, but not over a shutdown.
Senate Democrats are united on a set of common sense and necessary policy goals that we need to rein in ICE and end the violence.
A government shutdown is not in anybody's interest.
And unlike last year's shutdown, this one would not impact the Department of Agriculture, and some SNAP food benefits would also not be affected. Anthony?
All right, Brian, thank you very much. The Indiana State Senate has passed a bill that sets up the whole money side of building a new Bears Stadium in Northwest Indiana. Senate Bill 27 passed overwhelmingly. It passed 46-2 yesterday. What it does is create the Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority. This would be the group that would help pay for an NFL stadium. The bill does need to pass the full Indiana House and eventually get signed by Governor Mike Braun.
Let's give you a live look outside this morning, and let's just focus on the beauty of an Arctic Chicago. You know, with the snow.
We had a couple of polar bears swimming by.
Right,
Just to
you
kinda
know,
add to the
all
vibe.
of that.
Some happy penguins.
Yeah, that's a penguins too. I'm wondering who the two legislators were who voted against.
Yeah,
it.
that's
They got to be Colts fans or something, right? You know,
Exactly.
that's probably what's going on. All right, another cold day out there. We're going to see mostly sunny skies. There's a little bit of cloud cover out there this morning. That's going to scatter out. There are no winter storm warnings or advisories in effect for Chicagoland. However, a couple of counties, Lake, Porter County, you got yourself a winter storm watch. That will have to change. It'll either become a winter weather advisory or a winter storm warning, or a very unlikely scenario would be, nothing's going to happen. I think you're going to get some of the heaviest snow from the lake effect. This is not today. This is tomorrow afternoon through Saturday at 6 p.m. That is when your highest chance of getting some significant lake effect snow is going to occur. But that's not the only area that will get lake effect snow. Don't look at that map and say, whew, thank goodness we're in Zion, we're not getting anything, or we're in downtown Chicago, we're not getting anything. That's not the case. Cold, 2 at O'Hare, 0 Chicago Heights, 3 at LaSalle, Peru. Woodstock, you got the worst of it there at 4 below 0. Today, we're going to max out at 16. If you remember yesterday and the day, same temperatures. Northwest winds 5 to 15, so it won't be very windy. And with some sunshine, it's going to feel actually, not that bad if you're out for just a couple of minutes. Lake effect snow comes in starting tomorrow morning, especially in Lake County, Illinois, sliding down the lake, eventually pointing into northwest Indiana at night. And it may slosh back to the Illinois side for a little bit on Saturday, but at least temperatures get in the 20s and maybe even a 30 here on Wednesday. Could be some very light snow Monday and again on Wednesday. Back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Smash and grab crimes are on the rise across the city. So we're going to speak with a security expert about how businesses can protect themselves.
Saving money on everything you need at Menards.
Welcome back. It is 7:14 on your Thursday morning. We have almost eked our way to the end of the work week. It's been a cold stretch, and that stretch continues. We will check in with Mike in just a moment.
Gabriella Primus joins us now with a look at today's top stories. Gabby.
Natalie, Anthony, we've been talking about this overnight fire that left one woman dead. The fire broke out just after 10 o'clock last night along South Bell. As crews were working to put out that fire, a 75-year-old woman was found. She had suffered burns all over her body. She was taken to the University of Chicago Hospital, where she died. No other injuries were reported in that fire. The Chicago Fire Department is investigating a cause. In breaking news, U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar is running for Minnesota governor. She made the announcement official today. Klobuchar is a Democrat and has held the Senate seat, since 2007. She's promising to take on President Donald Trump while unifying the state. If you remember, current Governor Tim Walz recently announced he will not seek another term. A Westmont man is due in court today, accused in the murder of a pregnant woman in Downers Grove. Court documents say 19-year-old Nidas Ravutkas stabbed 30-year-old Eliza Morales 70 times, then set her home on fire. Prosecutors say Ravutkas and Morales connected on Facebook Marketplace and eventually met in person to finalize a truck sale. The DuPage County State's Attorney will also be holding a press conference later on this morning. John Grayson, the former Sangamon County deputy convicted of the shooting death of Sonia Massey, will be sentenced today. He was found guilty of second-degree murder back in October. Massey called police to report a prowler in July of 2024. Grayson shot and killed her after he says he thought she was going to throw a pot of boiling water at him. Anthony, I'll send it back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Gabriella. Appreciate it. Okay, there's been a rash of smash and grabs in the city lately, and it is raising the question, how do stores even defend themselves against this kind of crime? Joining me to discuss is Michael Verdon. He's the founder and CEO of the Lake Forest Group. Michael, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Good morning. All right, so what is your initial thought here? This is, I mean, we've seen this time and again. A lot of times they use a vehicle to get through the front facade and just ransack the place after that. What are your thoughts?
Correct, and you touched upon a couple of the important points to the crime itself. Another point is when it occurs, which is typically between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. So for a business owner, there's two things there. Do they own the building? If they own the building, they can implement whatever security they want. If they're a tenant, they're going to have the permission of the property manager or look to the property manager to implement security measures. So I would approach it from the outside in. On the outside, I would have motion-activated lights in the parking lot. So if a vehicle or person pulls up, the lights get tripped and it illuminates the entire area. In addition to that, I would have video cameras out there with analytics. The analytics are so sophisticated now that they can detect a vehicle and a person as opposed to an animal or like a shopping cart or something. So those two factors. Also with cameras now, they're all tied together. So if someone shows up at 3 in the morning, you could have a speaker attached to the camera with a verbal command like, please leave the area, no trespassing, we're calling 911. So there's technology to help, guard against this type of crime.
What about some of the kind of non-technical possible solutions here? On the sidewalk, for example, we saw an incident where somebody got killed at a Portillo's, and the Portillo's after that, this wasn't a smash and grab, it was an injury situation, but they installed those concrete pylons or concrete barriers. Is that something that business owners could consider?
Right. I touched upon technology, but you're correct. There's physical measures, which you're referencing. It's called a bollard. Typically, they're less than 4 feet apart, and you're correct. They're put into the ground where they can stop a vehicle. So that would protect against someone being injured on the sidewalk. Also protect against a vehicle which we see driving into the store. The store itself, they could do things like put up, they have film that's ballistic-proof film, or bulletproof film that can help protect against someone trying to shoot their way in. They can reinforce the doors to the building with security bars, and there's other instruments to harden that door. Because you see, with the last video I saw, they ripped the door from the building. So there are physical measures to protect the business.
Yeah, makes sense. Michael, how often in these cases, because a lot of times, you know, these thieves, they're fully masked, you know, they're wearing hoods. How often are they even caught by law enforcement?
Yeah, that's where technology can be of an assistance. So even though they're masked, there's two things the cameras can catch. They can catch the license plate. So that's stored. It's called license plate recognition. And there's also facial recognition. Even the eyes, if that's exposed, and like the cheekbone can be captured. And that data could help identify who the individuals are.
All right, Michael Verdin, appreciate your expertise on this ongoing concern. As always, we thank you for your time. It is 7:20. We want to get to some breaking news right now as tension continues in Minnesota. Tom Homan, the border czar, who just arrived to town there, holding a news conference right now. So we're going to take a listen.
Marcos Charles, he's running ICE operations here. There you go. Rodney Scott, Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, standing here beside me. Good morning, I'm Tom Homan, the border czar for President Trump. I'm here on behalf of the President, along with U.S. Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Rodney Scott, and Marcos Charles, who's leading the enforcement effort here right now. I've been on the ground since Monday to regain law and order in the city beloved by many, and work together to remove threats from the community. During the past administration, we'll all remember, more than 10 million illegal aliens entered this nation. Many were national security threats, public safety threats. We can't remember over 2 million known gotaways. 2 million people who paid more to get away. Why? That's just scared the hell out of everybody. President Trump promised American people, including the residents of Minnesota, that he would work to ensure our communities are safe. And with that, this administration is absolutely focused on identifying removal aliens that pose a public safety threat and national security threats. And the numbers prove it. The data proves it. In the past few days, I've met with Governor Walz, Attorney General Ellison, Mayor Frey, numerous police chiefs and sheriffs, and I have more to meet. I'll also be continuing the dialogue with business and religious leaders in partnership with Minnesota, your community leaders. I'll be meeting with them too because I want to hear what they have to say. In my meetings with folks so far, and most importantly the governor and the AG, the Mayor Frey, we didn't agree on everything. I didn't expect to agree on anything. I've heard many people want to know why we're talking to people who they don't consider friends in administration. Bottom line is you can't fix problems if you don't have discussions. I didn't come to Minnesota for photo ops or headlines. You haven't seen me. I came here to seek solutions, and that's what we're going to do. And we've come a long way, and we got some good wins for the people of Minnesota, I think, and for the administration and for the safety and security of this city. One thing we did agree on, though, everybody I talked to agreed on, was that community safety is paramount. One thing we all agreed on was U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement is a legitimate law enforcement agency that has a duty to enforce the laws enacted by Congress and keep this community safe. Like I've said many times for the last several years, even before this administration, jurisdictions that refuse to cooperate with federal immigration authorities are sanctuaries for criminals. Sanctuary cities are sanctuaries for criminals and endangers the residents of the community. To be clear, we did not agree with Minnesota state and local officials that they would be involved in immigration enforcement. I didn't ask them to be immigration officers. I'm asking them to be cops working with the cops to help us take criminal aliens off the street. What we did agree upon is not to release public safety arrests back in the community, and they could be lawfully transferred to ICE. I'll speak more about that. I will highlight that the Minnesota State Prison System under the Department of Corrections have been honoring ICE detainers. And we appreciate that important collaboration, and we're going to expand upon that. That decision has made Minnesota safer, not only for residents of Minnesota, but the men and women of law enforcement. Not just ICE, all law enforcement. Rather than arresting the same public safety threat, significant public safety threat over and over again, they agree to work with us to identify those people and remove them. I'm also pleased to announce I had a very good meeting with Attorney General Ellison, and he has clarified for me that county jails may notify ICE of the release dates of criminal public safety risks so ICE can take custody of them upon the release from the jail. And let me tell you why that's important. I know people are a lot concerned about the manpower has been set in law enforcement manpower. Look, I've said this many times before. I've said it for the last several years. Give us access to the illegal alien public safety threat and the safety and security of a jail. It's common sense. It's safer for the community, it's safer for the agent, and it's safer for the alien. Because anything can happen on a street arrest. It just makes common sense. And for the people that argue, well, we're a welcoming community because we want victims and witnesses of crime that are here illegally to feel safe to come to police without fear they're working with ICE, we're not going to talk to the victim and witness of crime. There's no problem there. They should feel safe to come to the police and ask for help. All we want is to talk to the person that local and state law enforcement authorities locked in a jail cell. They chose to lock this person up. That's who we want to talk to, the public safety threat. So the argument is that protects victim witnesses of crime. It's a bunch of crap. Victims and witnesses of crime don't want the bad guy back in their neighborhood either. So great progress with the Attorney General and local sheriffs. And one thing, when we have these agreements, it takes less law enforcement agents to do the job. One agent can arrest one bad guy in the safety and security of a jail where he's behind the wire. We know we don't have weapons. But when you normally release that public safety threat, illegal alien back in the community, we have a job to do. We're going to arrest him. So we're going to find him. And what happens is now we got to arrest somebody on his turf. We have access to who knows what weapons. Now we got to send the whole team out. Cover the back door.
All right, you're listening to Border Czar Tom Homan introduce himself to the city of Minneapolis and talk about some of the common ground that he has evidently struck with local state leaders, the AG there, the governor, the mayor of Minneapolis, and we will continue to follow all the breaking developments from Minneapolis throughout our news this morning and online as well. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
In 1977,
Welcome back to Good Day Chicago. It is 7:30. Today, a teenager accused of murdering a mother-to-be in Downers Grove will be in court. We're going to be following that hearing as it happens.
And new video shows Alex Pretty involved in a separate confrontation with ICE days before an agent shot and killed him. This video was taken in Minneapolis 11 days prior to the shooting.
An infectious disease doctor is going to join us to talk about an emerging threat prompting COVID-style screenings at airports. He's going to explain how we can protect ourselves from the Nipah virus. In the meantime, an overnight fire sadly leaves one woman dead.
Gabriela Primus has that and some of the other top stories we are following for you this morning. Gabriela?
Yeah, let's talk about some of the details in this case. The fire broke out just after 10 o'clock last night. It was along South Bell. As crews were working to put out the fire, a 75-year-old woman was found. She had suffered burns all over her body. She was taken to the University of Chicago Hospital, where she died. No other injuries were reported in this fire. The Chicago Fire Department is investigating a cause. Hinsdale police are searching for more suspects involved in a burglary caught on camera. It happened at the store Kelsey's along South Washington Street near the Metro train station. Video shows the thieves scrambling to grab as much merchandise as they could. Police arrested 4 suspects, but the video shows 8 in the store. Sean Grayson, the former Sangamon County deputy convicted in the shooting death of Sonia Massey, will be sentenced today. He was found guilty of second-degree murder back in October. Massey called police to report a prowler in July of 2024. Grayson shot and killed her after he says he thought she was going to throw a pot of boiling water at him. Grayson is facing anywhere from 4 to 20 years in prison. Brian Jackson is also following some of the latest developments in Minneapolis. He's in studio with some of the latest. Hey, Brian.
Thank you, Gabriella. We're seeing new video this morning of a confrontation between Alex Pretty and ICE agents several days before an agent shot and killed him. Now, this is the video. It was taken 11 days before the deadly exchange in Minneapolis. Shows agents take down Pretty after he was seen yelling at federal officers and kicking the tail light of one of their cars. While on the ground, Pretty was able to break free. The Department of Homeland Security says it is now reviewing this new video. The Pretty family's attorney says that the video does not justify the shooting. Meanwhile, 2 federal agents who shot and killed Pretty have now been placed on administrative leave. That is according to the Department of Homeland Security, which initially said that those agents were still on the job and had been reassigned to a new city. The agency also walked back initial claims by the Trump administration that Pretty violently resisted officers and wanted to, quote, massacre law enforcement. Back here at home, registered nurses came together on the near west side to hold a vigil in honor of Pretty. He was held at the Jesse Brown VA Medical Center. Pretty was an ICU nurse at the Minneapolis VA Medical Center.
This was an execution in cold blood. Shine the light. Shine the light. And now, as we expect in these days, nothing new. Shine the light on federal agents who blocked local investigating teams, refusing to accept the search warrant to enter the scene. Shine the light. Shine the light.
The nurses also called on Congress to abolish ICE. Now, lawmakers will not be voting to do that today, but they could end up blocking legislation to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Time now 7:34, taking a look at our beautiful sunrise out there. Mike said we're going to get a lot of sunshine today, but still not a lot of heat.
That's exactly right. That is a spectacular shot right there. We have a little bit of stratocumulus that is blown in over the lake. You can see some of the crepuscular or shadow-oriented rays coming out of there. But on the whole, today's going to end up being mostly sunny. But Brian's right. There's no warmth associated with that. Here's what you've got now. Current temperatures within a couple of degrees of zero. Some of the worst of it, Woodstock, Aurora, 4 below, 4 above in Merrillville, and along Chicago's lakefront, it is 1 degree right now, with wind chills generally about 10 below zero. This is what we've got. 8 below at Midway, 13 below at Waukegan, and it feels like 12 below zero currently, even as far south as Kankakee. Today's cold, no snow. unless you're on the western side of Michigan. Well, you'll have a little bit of lake effect. But the main lake effect show is going to get organized later tonight, and then it is going to start to migrate to the west, so that tomorrow morning, moving into northeast Illinois, including the Chicago area. It will likely be accompanied by a blast of heavy snow for a couple of hours, moving to the west. Look how far west our model is showing that snow going, all the way toward the Quad Cities and Peoria. Then new lake effect snow is going to slide down through northern Illinois during the afternoon. And then tomorrow evening, that's where you're going to get hit the longest in northwest Indiana, which is why you've got a winter storm watch right now for Lake and Porter County. But even on Saturday, cannot rule out this possibility that some of that lake effect snow comes a little bit farther to the west and still impacts the city. All right, I've got a couple of photos to share with you. This is a beautiful picture of egrets. Johnny O showing a family of them coming in for a landing in Sarasota, Florida, where, interestingly, would you believe it, there's a chance for some snow in Tampa. Speaking of Florida over the weekend, it would not stick, but they may see some flurries. And then I got a kick out of this one. Colleen Gilski, I assume that is her, holding a whole flock of, it looks like parrots there. Is that what those are? In the Dominican Republic, and some very friendly birds there. That's a cool shot, and I bet, Colleen, it was much warmer there in the Dominican Republic than it is here. Good time to get away. All right, it is 7:37. Where are you headed today? Odds are you're going to face a little bit of traffic on our expressways. Here's a look at some of the travel times. We're coming right back after this.
Everything you need to get stronger.
Okay, early heads up here for everybody. There's an emerging medical threat that is spreading overseas right now. It's called the Nipah virus, and it is quickly becoming a problem in parts of Asia to the point where airports are starting to step up their screening. This morning we are joined by Dr. Dami Adeyemi. He is an infectious disease specialist at Endeavor Health. Doctor, thank you for being with us this morning to run us through the basics of this. First of all, I had not heard of Nipah. What is it?
Thank you for having me. Nipah virus, it's a virus that can be spread by animals. So the fruit bath and it can also affect pigs and make them sick. But it's also a disease that can spread from person to person. And also, if the fruit bat contaminates any food, like dates, those can also spread the infection. It was the first time we heard about this was late in the 90s when there was an outbreak in Malaysia, and it also involved Singapore. At that time, it affected pig farmers, and so the reason why it's worrisome is that it's a highly fatal disease. Fatality reported about 40 to 75% sometimes, and there's an outbreak now reported in India, and so everybody trying to take precaution. But the CDC is monitoring this, and the health ministry in India has told us that they've contained this infection at this time. But we still need to be cautious.
Okay, makes sense. So before we dive into like how bad the outbreak is and whether it is indeed contained to the level that officials are saying, in terms of what it does to the body, can you run us through? You mentioned how it's transmitted, but what parts of the body does it attack?
Good question. And so when somebody is infected, they could have non-specific symptoms like fever, muscle aches, vomiting, but also, it could affect the breathing system, so the respiratory system, where people then may have respiratory distress, but also they could have headaches and then go on to have, confusion, and some patients may go into coma. And that's the one that is really worrisome when, because it affects the brain also, then they can have seizures as well. And so those are the severe forms of the illness. But some people don't have any symptoms. Some people can be asymptomatic.
Man, okay. And you said the fatality rate can be like 40 to 70% here. So what do we know about the outbreak? Officials in Asia are saying they contain this thing for now?
So what we know so far is there have been 2 confirmed cases. There might be 3 other ones, but 2 confirmed cases, and both of them were healthcare workers who took care of a patient who's passed away, but that patient was not tested. One of these 2 confirmed cases is critically ill right now, but there have been almost 200 contacts that have been found. Those contacts have been followed. They currently have no symptoms, and they've all tested negative so far.
Okay.
So, so that's reassuring.
Okay. As I'm listening to you, I think myself and a lot of people might be triggered by those first days of COVID where, we knew of a single person here and another individual there. Does this have the potential for, we lived through news about going way back, SARS, of course, COVID. How at risk are we right now for the potential for any kind of global type outbreak?
So I think it's less likelihood this would spread at an international rate, or like a pandemic that we have with COVID. So one person would infect less than one person. So there's a number we look at, a primary infection. How many people can a primary infection spread to? And the number is less than 1. The education that is going on right now around the world has made people aware. The health ministry in India has gone on top of this to trace all the possible contacts and quarantined them and tested them, and currently no symptoms. So I think it's unlikely that this will spread at an international level.
Okay, that's reassuring to hear. Dr. Dami Adeyemi, thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate it, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
All right, 7:44 is a quick look at what is coming up for us on Good Day Chicago during our 8 and 9 o'clock hours, so keep it right here. Hope you're having a great morning.
Save big money on everything.
We continue to follow breaking news that could impact your commute. This is Northwest Indiana's Sky Fox over the scene just moments ago of a mail truck crash on I-65. This happened on the exit ramp from northbound I-65 to eastbound I-80-94. You can see the back of a semi completely sheared off, and boxes are thrown all over the shoulder of the exit there. This was a USPS truck. Traffic is being diverted onto westbound I-80-94, but we're hearing of significant backups on I-65. For the time being, no word on what caused this crash. The roadway is expected to be impacted for the next 3 to 4 hours.
Yikes.
All right, let's get to Gabriella Primus. She joins us now with another look at some of the top stories we're following for you to kick off Thursday morning. Gabriella?
Natalie, Anthony, we'll go through some of the details. An overnight fire leaves one woman dead. That fire broke out just after 10 o'clock last night. It was along South Bell. As crews were working to put out the fire, a 75-year-old woman was found. She had suffered burns all over her body. She was taken to the University of Chicago Hospital, where she unfortunately died. No other injuries were reported. The Chicago Fire Department is investigating a cause. And breaking news, U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar is running for Minnesota governor. She made the announcement official today. Klobuchar is a Democrat and has held a Senate seat since 2007. She's promising to take on President Donald Trump while unifying the state. Current Governor Tim Walz recently announced he will not seek another term. A Westmont man is due in court today, accused of the murder of a pregnant woman in Downers Grove. Court documents say 19-year-old Nidas Ravutkas stabbed 30-year-old Eliza Morales 70 times, then set her home on fire. Prosecutors say Ravutkas and Morales connected on Facebook Marketplace and eventually ended up meeting in person to finalize a truck sale. The DuPage County State's Attorney will also be holding a press conference later on this morning. Sean Grayson, the former Sangamon County deputy convicted in the shooting death of Sonia Massey, will be sentenced today. He was found guilty of second-degree murder back in October. Massey called police to report a prowler in July of 2024. Grayson shot and killed her after he says he thought she was going to throw a pot of boiling water at him. Natalie, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you so much. And we want to check that forecast. It's another one of those headlines today because it's another cold one, unfortunately. And Mike Kaplan is here, and he's tracking all the temperatures for you.
But that is just such a beautiful shot there, isn't it? Look at that, the sun breaking through some stratocumulus clouds along the lake. We will see mostly sunny skies today. There's a little bit of cloud cover out there. Let's reverse the view here, and you can see lots of blue out there, but it's not going to help much with the temperatures. We have current numbers that, for the most part, kind of in the, zero range, roughly. Oh, for some reason, this is not working for me here, the touch screen. I don't know. See if the all right, we'll throw Caitlin under the bus for this one. She's gonna fix it though for me. So let's see now if I can do it. Yay! Thank you, Caitlin. All right, it's working now. Temperature-wise, just very close to zero. It's 2 at O'Hare in the lakefront, 6 at Valparaiso. That's almost warm, but it's 3 below zero at Woodstock. There is snow on the way. Lake effect snow, not today, but it's coming in here tomorrow in the morning. The lake effect today is light stuff that'll be on the western shore of Michigan there, but this is going to start to assemble into a single band here late tonight. And it backs into Illinois tomorrow morning, so it'll have some impact during the morning commute. Notice how far west that initial lake effect goes. This goes all the way to LaSalle County, even into Peoria. Then a new band of snow will start to snake down the lake, passing through the city. Residence time of that snow is brief enough that even though it'll snow hard, it won't be sitting in one spot for a long time until it gets into northwest Indiana. That is why Lake and Porter County, you have a winter storm watch. But don't think that there won't be greater impacts even on the Illinois side. Our model and others showing that stuff backing up into Illinois even on Saturday. At least temperatures get out of the deep freeze. In fact, I've got a 30-degree day here next Wednesday. Chance of some very light snow Sunday night and Monday morning, and again on Wednesday. Let's cruise over to Anthony Ponce for a commute update.
Okay, not much cruising happening on the expressways anymore. Those are stacking up the drive times. You are at nearly an hour on all the inbound expressway, except for the Dan Ryan is a little bit better. Before we go through our drive times, I do want to mention several concerns on the Metro. Not quite as many as before, but if you take the Southwest service, the Heritage Corridor, the BNSF line, or the Union Pacific West line, check your app because there are delays happening on all of those lines. Okay, for our drive times here on the inbound Kennedy, nearly an hour into downtown from O'Hare. On the Eisenhower, it's a 57-minute ride between Route 390 and downtown. A little bit better on the Stevenson from I-355 to Lakeshore Drive. You're at 50 minutes. And on the Dan Ryan, it is a 40-minute drive between 95th and downtown. In Illinois, there's no state rules protecting workers from extreme temperatures. So workers and unions are now launching a campaign pushing for a bill to change that. This bill would make employers have plans for dangerous temperatures. Water when it's hot, warming areas when it's cold. In other words, policies that match the job. Okay, supporters of this say it's needed because federal data show that more than 33,000 heat injuries happened between 2011 and 2020. Over 40,000 workplace injuries a year come from ice, sleet, and snow. And one person leading this knows about the risks firsthand.
Before I started at Chicago Jobs with Justice, I was working in the freezers at Walmart. I was working in freezers without PPE that fit me, with gloves that had holes in it, and with no one that cared how long I was in there. How many days in a row I was in there, how many shifts I took in the freezer. So this is personal for me.
All right. These measures would set a statewide floor and has penalties for violations. Some business groups say the record-keeping and lawsuit risks would be too much for small employers. Other news, a new study concludes that Chicago Public Schools, this is wild, it's losing a staggering 10,000 students every year.
And it has lost 100,000 kids in the last 20 years due to population decline. The group Kids First Illinois put out the study. They say this is being caused by a number of issues, including a declining birth rate in Chicago, more people moving out of the city, and an increase in private school enrollment.
For us, the crisis is not just that we're losing student enrollment. The crisis is that there is no plan. There's no public conversation and dialogue about what to do.
According to the study, schools in West and South Side neighborhoods have been affected most by plummeting enrollment.
Artificial intelligence quickly becoming a part of everyday life, and some people are chatting with AI chatbots every day. Doctors say that this can exacerbate already existing problems in vulnerable people, including psychosis, delusions, paranoia, and in some cases, violence. We spoke with a psychiatrist at Northwestern Medicine who described these chatbots as a double-edged sword. They can reinforce our behaviors, both good and bad.
So while it's nice that chatbots can be supportive and validating, it can become dangerous when the chatbot blindly validates these harmful thoughts, such as those related to hurting ourselves or others.
Dr. Zhang encourages people in distress to seek support from the important people in their lives and professional mental health experts instead of chatbots.
Today, Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias will unveil an e-bike safety initiative. It's the Ride Safe, Ride Smart, Ride Ready campaign. They're addressing the rise in unregulated high-speed and high-powered e-bike and e-scooters. The goal is to better protect pedestrians, riders, and drivers. It is 7:55. We hope that your Thursday's off to a wonderful start. We've got plenty more Good Day Chicago ahead. TikTok blaming technical issues after users report they can't find or upload videos about immigration enforcement actions. It began as people shared footage of the federal raids that led to the deaths of demonstrators Alex Preddy and Renee Good. California has opened a probe into whether TikTok is violating their state law by blocking content critical of Trump. During the Biden administration, Facebook was accused of blocking content related to Hunter Biden and the COVID-19 pandemic.
President Trump is announcing a new fraud czar. He has nominated Colin McDonald to serve as the Assistant Attorney General for National Fraud Enforcement. McDonald currently works at the DOJ as the Associate Deputy AG. This new position is expected to focus on fraudulent uses of federal resources. He still needs to be approved by the Senate.
Move over Publix. There's a new top grocery store. Trader Joe's has overtaken Publix as #1 when it comes to consumer satisfaction. The American Customer Satisfaction Index shows Trader Joe's squeezing past Publix by just a couple points. Texas supermarket chain H-E-B ranks 3rd, followed by Sam's Club and Aldi.
H-E-B is unbelievable. I don't know if you remember this from Texas. They do in-house